Hi class, today we're looking at Chapter 8, Lesson 4, Transformations and Congruence. So when you walk in the sand, right, like at the beach, you leave a trail of footprints that are congruent to each other. Congruent means that they're the same as each other. You can use transformations to map one footprint onto another. If two figures are congruent, then a transformation or a sequence of transformations will map one figure onto the other. So let's look at this example. So recognizing a series of transformations. So the three trapezoids, this shape right here is called a trapezoid. The three trapezoids are congruent. That means they are the same. Describe the sequence of transformations that maps WXYZ onto W, and then see how this one just has the one apostrophe and this one has two. So it's asking how we got from this one to this one. So a reflection, so this right here is a reflection. So a reflection over the y-axis, this is the y-axis, from WXYZ onto W with one apostrophe XYZ. So then from here, how did it get down to this other one? It's the same direction, right? So it did not do a reflection over the x-axis. If that was the case, it would have been this shape. But it's not, so it's not a reflection. So what happened is this same figure moved down, and we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It moved down 7 units to map the other. So a reflection over the y-axis followed by a translation 7 units down. That is our answer. Okay, so now I want you to look at describing the consequence of transformation that maps this one, ooh, what happened there, to map this figure onto this figure. Okay, so how could that have gotten there? So kind of think about that for a minute, see what you come up with, and give me, and then come back when you're done. Okay, so you should have just worked backwards based on what we did before. I put the arrow going this way, but really it's that it went from, oh, it doesn't want to erase that. It really went from this figure back up to this figure, and then over to this figure. So it was a translation 7 units up. That's how we got from this figure up to this one. And then followed by a reflection over the x-axis. So let's look, oops, what happened there? There we are. Let's look at another one here. So if you use a sequence of transformations to map one figure onto another, then the two figures are congruent. Using transformations to determine congruency. So, sorry, here's a vocabulary tip that I want you to be aware of. Two figures have the same orientation if you can use a translation, a rotation, so a translation, a rotation, or a combination of the two to map one figure onto the other. So keep that in mind. So determine whether the two triangles in the diagram are congruent. If they are, write a congruent statement. If they are not congruent, explain why. So this says triangle ABC and XYZ have opposite orientations and are on opposite sides of the y-axis. So first they start by reflecting ABC over the y-axis to get AB. So see, this is showing your example here. So this is where it was reflected. And then they are in different positions because they rotate. So then this one then rotates 90 degrees. And it shows you here. It rotates 90 degrees. And then it moves down 1 unit. So this is the overall. A reflection over the y-axis, followed by a rotation of 90 degrees about the origin, followed by a translation 1 unit down, maps triangle ABC onto triangle XYZ. So ABC is congruent, remember this is the sign for congruent, to triangle XYZ. My goodness. So you've got to just be creative in your awareness of what way they can go, and refer back to these. These are great examples to show the different things such as translation, rotation, okay? So now you try this one on your own. Determine whether EFG is congruent to MNP. If the triangles are congruent, tell what sequence of transformations will map EFG onto MNP. Then write a congruent statement. If they are not congruent, explain why. So press pause, see what you come up with. Come back to me when you're done. Okay, so what I saw is that EFG, there was a reflection, wrong thing, a reflection over the x-axis, so that's what made this go to there. And then it was followed by a translation 6 units down. So then it moved 6 units down. So triangle EFG is congruent to triangle MNP. So the words that you need to know here, what 3 transformations can you use to prove that 2 figures are congruent? So one is translation. The other is reflections. And the last one is rotations. Okay, so this going to this is a rotation. This going to this is a reflection. And this going down to this is a translation. So then looking at this, use the graph at the right, match each point with its image after the given sequence of transformation. So A, reflection over the y-axis. So a reflection over the y-axis is going to be to D. And then rotation, 90-degree rotation about the origin. So right, then it rotates 90 degrees So that means that it's going to go this direction. So right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. So here it is. And then it's going to go down 3 units. 1, 2, 3. So that means this is B. The next one, we're going to start at B. And it says a reflection over the x-axis. So here's the x-axis. A reflection is going to be G. And then it says 180-degree rotation about the origin. So, right, it's going to go 1, 2 over 1, 1, 2 over 1. So this would be 90 degrees. 1, 2 over 1, that would be C, which is 180 degrees. And then the translation is 2 units down. 1, 2. So that means our answer is E. And our last one, starting with C, the reflection over the y-axis. So reflection's going to put us here at B. And then a 270-degree rotation. So that means that we're going to take this and move it around. So, right, so this is the pattern. Up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. So this would be 90 degrees. Up 1 over 2, this would be 180. Up 1 over 2, that is going to be 270 degrees. And then it says 3 units to the right. 1, 2, 3. That's going to be D. Okay, so your homework for tonight is page 271 and 272, numbers 5 through 9. Happy homeworking.